Yo, it's Metaphor, back for more. They kick the raw, represent everyone's you and I verse. Gonna do a video on the moon in Libra, sun in Gemini. Let's get the bopping though first, you heard? Across the sky, I'm flying. Skipping miles like turnstiles. If I'm after me, I'd keep my head up now. I turn the crown. Red rum, co-defend done. Note on these clean sheets in between two tongues. I'm so indiscreet. The cushy in the industry. Peace of love to the big old freak. Like Miss Unique, Mystica, Mystery. No misogynist like some diabolical shit. Like Antarctica, bitch, Metaphor 7 consciousness shift. I'm on a spaceship. I'm like Caesar on the planet of the apes, shit. Apex predator dissemble, yeah. The truest pay homage. So check this out, yo. Across the sky, I'm flying. I'm flying. Across the sky, I'm flying. Just an OBE, so I feel an escape. Sky high while we can't find you. Miles away, galactic space vest can protect them. Coming for your check like an interception. While we can't find you. Can we converse word divine to the base of the spine? Check it though, yo. I heard they sold soul like seamstress. Teeth bleeding and kids on the STEM test. No bargains, just warn a brother. Dirty money, clean money, that's the sentence. This is a collection. Trick, punk, bit, can't fade the Mac. I'm like that. Motherfucking bitches. But yeah, getting into it. We got the moon in Libra with the sun in Gemini. You know what I'm saying? Keep in mind the moon in Libra is all about balance, communication, and things of that nature. Let me turn this down real fast, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna get another little joint bopping, a little background and all that, feel me? You feel me? But yeah, with all this being said, we got the moon in Libra, sun in Gemini. So based on them both being air signs, it's creating an opportunity. So keep in mind, we are creating an opportunity to have balanced communication, right? So based on that circumstance situation, we also have the moon conjuncting the south node, right? Because the south node is in Libra. So the south node is all about what we're comfortable with. Things that we kind of like have as our safe space, you know what I'm saying? And things like that. So keep that in mind at this point in time. Because your north node is your purpose or uncomfortable circumstance. To create growth, one has to go through an uncomfortable circumstance at some period of time. So yeah, keep that in mind that you're not being too complacent at this point in time. And then moving forward, we also have the moon trining the sun, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter, all in Gemini, right? And then also we have the moon trining Pluto. So based on we're going to start with the moon trining Pluto. We're going to have this opportunity to create a deep and transformative change based on our emotions and things of that nature. So keep that in mind. And then also, like I said, we have other energies in the air as well. Like, for example, sun in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, Venus in Gemini, and Jupiter, right? So we're also creating an opportunity in our actions, our thought patterns, the way that we value things, and our Jupiterian nature, which is expansion, morality, knowledge, and wisdom. So at this point in time, you want to create some balance with the way you take action and the way you express the truth, so to speak. And then Mercury is all about communication and thoughts. So we're creating an opportunity to balance our thoughts and communication styles. And then also Venus being in Gemini, we're also balancing or finding the truth of our value and things like that. So we're communicating at this point in time and having an opportunity to communicate those values. And then this Jupiterian nature, keep in mind, Jupiter doesn't do too well being in Gemini because it's at home in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is opposite to Gemini. So with this being said, we kind of got to find the piece of the puzzle, the missing piece to the puzzle at this point in time, based on Jupiter being in Gemini. So essentially, we want to have these communication styles and community to expand oneself. And we're creating the opportunity based on the way that we're feeling this balance at this point in time based on the moon being here, right? So essentially, put it in a nutshell, you either feel balanced in your emotions and things like that, and you can balance your emotional state, or you feel unbalanced in your emotions or the way that you feel about things at this point in time. And it'll be, in turn, make it kind of difficult to create these opportunities based on our actions. Sun, I'm saying Mercury being communication and thought processes, and Venus, like I say, values of a person, place, thing, or idea, and like I say, Jupiter as well. So keep in mind that if you feel unbalanced or you're not able to balance a circumstance or situation, then this is going to be a time that you're going to be scatterbrained or kind of having communication styles that are all over the place. Moving forward, we also have the moon in conjuncting Saturn and Neptune, based on them both being in Pisces, so that misunderstanding. So we may misunderstand the way that we're building based on us feeling this balance at this point in time. Saturn in Pisces is all about the restriction of a dream at this point in time. So we may be misunderstanding based on us trying to find balance emotionally, that I'm saying we may overlook the way that we need to build things and things like that. Then also Neptune being in Pisces, our creation or creative juice, you know what I'm saying? I almost said pause, no diddy, you know what I'm saying? Creative juices, I guess you could say, you know what I'm saying? No homo. But yeah, like so to speak, like being Neptune and Pisces, right? Neptune is all about the dream, illusion, and nightmare. So essentially, it's either you're creative or delusional at this point in time, whatever, with the Neptune being here, right? So we either want to balance that delusion or balance this creativity. And we may misunderstand that at this point in time. We may misunderstand us trying to, I'm saying, feel emotionally capable to achieve this dream at this point in time. It's like, oh, dag, is this actually something that I can deal with reality about? And if it's not actually in reality, then it's going to be difficult to balance this at this point in time based on Neptune being here. You know what I'm saying? So keep in mind, we also have two other inconjunctions, which is Mars being in Taurus. So Mars in Taurus is like our passion to have values and things like that. Our values of a person, place, and thing. We're going to, I'm saying, based on Taurus being ruled by Venus, at this point in time, we're going to have this passionate way about going about our values, or things may be slowed down a little bit because Mars doesn't do too well in Taurus. Because you think about Mars being at home in Aries and Scorpio and exalted in Capricorn, at this point in time, we have to make practical sense and actually logisticalize things before just going for it, and unlike the Aries energy or the Scorpio energy. Scorpio always has this internal passion about things, and Taurus has to make sense before they get passionate, or they have to kind of be backed into the corner before they start getting aggressive and things like that. So essentially, we're going to be aggressive for our ways of valuing things or having this balance, so to speak, and based on the Venusian energy, I'm saying, being Taurus, right? And that Uranus is also being in Taurus at this point in time. So we may misunderstand the way that we want to balance things in our unique and original space. You know what I'm saying? We may want to balance things instead of actually be our original self and things like that. Then moving forward, we also have the moon opposed the north node. Like I mentioned earlier, the moon is conjunct the south node. So we're going to feel comfortable balancing what we're comfortable with at this point in time. But being that individual, it may be an uncomfortable circumstance. So we can either add on to our purpose or the things that are making us feel uncomfortable to grow at this point in time, or we can oppose it, and say oppose or add on based on that 180-degree angle. So you can either add on to your purpose and things like that, or you can kind of oppose it and things like that and try to just balance and be relative at this point in time. So yeah, moving forward, we're going to break down the Libra rising first, and then we're going to go all the way through the houses and things like that. So based on where you have this Libra participating is what I'm going to be breaking down at this point in time. So for example, if you were an Aries rising, you're going to have the 7th house being in Libra at this point in time. So you're going to have to relate or add on to things like that, or oppose, essentially based on that 180-degree angle. So keep in mind, it's either you want to relate to individuals and relate to that balance, or you want to just oppose and be an individual based on the Aries energy. So yeah, let's get into it. Libra rising is having the 1st house in the moon, you know what I'm saying? So personal affairs, you're going to be feeling comfortable creating a personal balance for oneself, and keep in mind, Libra is cardinal, so initiating and creating their individuality to have balance or be a balanced individual at this point in time. And if you feel unbalanced, you're on the lower side of energy, lower octave energy, and to rectify that, you kind of want to become more comfortable with your personal life and your personal affairs and things like that. So then moving forward, Virgo rising is having the 2nd house being a Libra. So based on Virgo being in the first house, it then has Libra in the second, right? Depending on which degree you have participating. So keep in mind your values of a person, place, thing, or idea at this point in time is what you're going to be balancing. So it's either you value the individuals around you, you value the people around you, you value the places around you at this point in time being a Virgo, or you feel that you cannot have any balance at this point in time with what you value. Like, for example, the way that you generate money in this at this point in time may be in a space that you can't actually balance at this point in time because the places that you go or the people that you're relating to actually aren't creating that balance for you. I'm saying so. The ideas as well. Keep in mind that this is also about ideas. So moving forward with this aspect, we want to keep in mind that Virgo has to value what you're relative to at this point in time to actually have this balance be enacted. And like I say, if you're on the lower octave of energy, you want to see, okay, how can I initiate and create a value system that I can relate to, so to speak. And then Leo rising is having the third house being in Libra. So the third house is all about the environment, the immediate spaces, and things like that, or your communication in those immediate spaces. And keep in mind, Leo is a 60 degree angle, which is a sextile. So the Leo is seeing the opportunity of what environment or what to communicate with in the environment or in their immediate spaces. And based on them seeing the opportunity, they know, okay, should I talk to this individual and relate to this individual in this environment? Or maybe I see the opportunity not to relate at this point in time. So if you see the opportunity not to relate, that's that lower octave of energy. You need to kind of maneuver and things like that. So essentially, you need to see what you should adapt to in your environment at this point in time and who you should actually be relative to at this point in time, being that Leo rising. So yeah, Leo rising is either finding balance in their environment at this point in time, or they feel unbalanced in their environment, essentially. And then moving forward, the Cancer rising is having the fourth house being in Libra. So based on the fourth house, it's a 90 degree angle, a square. And keep in mind, the fourth house is all about your privacy, home, and things that are close to your one's heart at this point in time. So essentially, you want to relate to things in your home at this point in time if you're learning the proper process. Essentially, you want to learn to be more relative to those in your individual home at this point in time. I'm saying, essentially, the Cancer and the Libra is a square. It's like that pressure. So the Cancer wants to be comfortable in their own personal life, but based on them wanting to be comfortable in their own personal life, they then need to have this balance be initiated and created in their home and things close to their heart. And they have to learn how to be more relative to those things at this point in time and not be so emotional and be more logical and practical. So essentially, the Cancer is just learning how to be more practical with one's emotions. Moving forward, the Gemini rising is having the fifth house being in Libra. So the fifth house is all about expression or childlike nature. So essentially, the Gemini is creating an opportunity to be more expressive at this point in time, or relate the balance of their expression, or have a balanced expression. Or if you're unbalanced in your expression, you're all scatterbrained and things like that. Being the Gemini, then people are going to find it hard to relate to your expression. So essentially, you want to have an expression that is quite relative to others and things like that. You want to be able to use your adaptability, being that mutable air sign, to actually see, oh, what can I relate to, or what is unrelatable to oneself. And essentially, if you feel that your expression is creating an unbalance at this point in time, maybe find the right space to actually express oneself and find spaces that you'll be more accepted and things like that. And don't always worry about being validated and accepted, but essentially, based on the Libra energy, you want to have this balance. So essentially, if your expression isn't creating balance at this point in time, you need to kind of rectify that, being that Gemini rising. Then moving forward, the Taurus rising is having the sixth house being in Libra. So the sixth house is all about routine, patterns, and health. And keep in mind, it's in conjunction to the Libra energy. So the Taurus wants to be consistent, I'm saying, or on the other side of energy, stubborn upon the way that they personally do things. And based on that, I'm saying, they think that their personal way of doing things always works, and they may not always want to relate to others because of their stubbornness and things like that. So essentially, the Taurus may misunderstand that they're being stubborn in their personal life, and that it's actually being unbalanced in their health and their routine and pattern. So it's like an unhealthy manner, even though you think it works and things like that. So just because something works doesn't mean it's always the right thing to do. So essentially, if the Taurus is on that lower octave of energy, being the sixth house, you want to find a routine that is more balanced and a routine that you can relate to and things like that. And others can also relate to that schedule and things of that nature. And then moving forward, the Aries rising, like I mentioned earlier, is having the seventh house being in Libra, right? So the seventh house is all about the opposition and things like that. So it's either you can add on or oppose. So essentially, the Aries is on the higher octave, wanting to create balance in their relations and things like that, or they're unbalanced in what they're relative to and things like that. And yeah, I'll be reading the comments, but if y'all just comment in things that have nothing to do with the title, then why would I respond? But yeah, moving forward, the Pisces rising is having the eighth house being in Libra, so it's also that in conjunction. So the Pisces may misunderstand what they need to transform and things like that, and what is relative to be transformed and things like that. So essentially, they have to transform oneself to create a balance at this point in time, or a rebirth. So the Pisces has to find the right way to adapt and things like that, to then transform those circumstances and have this internal passion be I'm saying, keep in mind the eighth house is like that internal passion, where Scorpio was birthed. So essentially, you want to be passionate about your ways of being relative and things like that, and transforming to be relative. And if you want the lower octave of energy, you kind of want to stay complacent and things like that. So essentially, you want to be transforming oneself to be more relative. But yeah, moving forward, the Pisces, that's the Pisces. The Aquarius rising is having the ninth house being in Libra. So the ninth house is all about knowledge, wisdom, experience, and morality, and travel and things like that. And you could either travel in the mind or travel externally. So essentially, the Aquarius is creating the opportunity to relate their morality, or relate their experience, or be relative to traveling, to actually have this initiating, creating of a balanced experience. So essentially, the Aquarius is having I'm saying on the higher octave, their morality is creating balance at this point in time, or their morality is being unbalanced at this point in time based on them being so stubborn. You know what I'm saying? So the Aquarius may create an opportunity to be a little bit too stubborn at this point in time based on the morality. So essentially, you want to realize that just because you look at things in a certain aspect may not be always the right way to look at things at this point in time. And at this point in time, you may have this aspect to see, okay, this opportunity that's being created, maybe I need to create a new morality around this relative circumstance, or what I'm relating to. And like I say, if you're on the lower octave of energy, you need to realize that essentially maybe you're being stubborn about your morality and your way of seeing things. Then moving forward, the Capricorn rising is having the 10th house being in Libra. So the 10th house is all about career, status, and your persona and things like that, like what you're known for in the public eye, so to speak. So the Capricorn needs to learn to be more balanced in their status or their career, to then in turn have things be more relative and things like that. So you essentially want to learn to be more status oriented, or balancing one's status to actually have a beneficial circumstance occur. So essentially, if you're on the lower octave energy, you're not going to want to actually learn to have a logical and practical conversation to be more relative. The Capricorn may initiate and create a way that, okay, I'm already being practical in my own mind, so why do I need to relate to my status and things like that? Just because I'm seen this certain way doesn't mean I'm actually this certain way. But essentially, the Capricorn has to learn to create an opportunity to have this more balanced communication in their status and things like that. Moving forward, the Sagittarius rising is having the 11th house being in Libra, right? So the 11th house is all about association, public spaces and things like that, or kind of what you're known for in the public eye, kind of alike to the 10th house. They kind of go hand in hand in this aspect. So keep in mind, the Sagittarius is also a sextile to the Libra energy. So the Sagittarius sees the opportunity, what association to relate to and things like that. Or if you're on the lower octave of energy, you feel that what you're associated with is unrelative or non-relative to what you got going on in your life and things like that, or your personal life. So essentially, if you're on that lower octave of energy, you need to see what association you feel more relatable to, or you can create more balance in and things like that. And last but not least, the Scorpio rising is having the 12th house being in Libra. So it's all about the dreams, illusions, and nightmares. And keep in mind the 12th house is also endings. So you may have an ending based on you trying to relate to things like that. And what you've been relating to for all this period of time is actually non-relative if you're on the lower octave energy, and that needs to end, you know what I'm saying? Or you're having this dreamlike relation or dreamlike balance and things like that. Like, wow, things are actually more balanced than they've ever been because I finally am achieving this dream, so to speak. And keep in mind, the 12th house is kind of like an unconscious energy. So if you're not so tapped in to your intuition and things like that, this may be a space that you're kind of delusional and things like that. And you may be in an illusion about what you're actually relating to at this point in time. So like I say, you want to kind of be in that space of awareness to say, okay, is this actually something that I benefit from relating to at this point in time? Is this actually a dream that I've been wanting to achieve and things of that nature? So yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah, pretty much the individual said, can I comment on a certain date? You know what I'm saying? I would, but it's kind of irrelevant at this point in time because that's 2000. That's 24 years ago, bro. So you're pretty much just having me relate to your birth chart. And I can do that on an email that is actually relative to your circumstance and situation. So I could actually get your whole chart and break it down and do it true justice. If you want to send me an email, I could send you a menu back for what you could purchase for a reading and things like that. So yeah, that would make more sense instead of just going off the top of my head. Like, for example, and you didn't even put it in like the right kind of circumstance. Like you put it as the date, then the month. So like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and email me if you want to actually get that reading done. And for anybody else that is seeking reading and things of that nature, or even just has questions about this live, you go ahead and go to the description and you can see my email, which is conscious1347 and that's conscious1347 You can go ahead and email me for a reading and things like that. But yeah, much love and holla back, and peace and love if you believe in all that. You feel me?